So I think it's finally time to create an update video and to finally answer the question, does installing solar panels make financial sense? And what really have we gained from putting 70 plus panels on our home here in Lucas, Texas? It would be absolutely weird for me not to have a solar system since I have been heavily promoting it for the past 14 plus years, right? So what we've done here is we've put panels on the ground mount, we put panels on the roof facing south, we put panels facing west because we want to be able to see how different areas of roofs will generate power, and it just makes sense for us to test it. Now, most importantly, I really think it's finally time to create an update and answer the question whether installing solar panels, 70 plus panels on this home, made any financial sense. And that's what we're gonna do, so make sure to follow, subscribe, and keep watching. So what I often say to our clients that have more land that they don't really use a lot of it, that a great solution is to put panels on the ground mount. You can literally direct them towards perfect south, which means that they will be outputting more than if you were to put them on east and west of your roof, right? So you end up putting a smaller system and you're not putting them on the roof. In a lot of cases, people don't like putting them in the front of the house as well. So for people in this neighborhood, half of those people, the front of the house faces south, right? So they're gonna be having the dilemma of, do I put them in the front of the house? One, they might not like the idea of having them in the front of the house. Two, the HOA will be heck of a problem, or not really a big problem. Legally, in most states, they can't say no, but they will give you a hard time if you wanna put all your panels in the front. I know because we've done it in this neighborhood for our customers, and we fought and fought, but we won. But I guess where I was going with this is that if you do have land, 1+ acre, or sometimes even less, put the panels on the ground. You're not gonna regret it. You're gonna get really, really good results, and you will see that in production that we have experienced so far. I wanna add one more thing. So on a ground mount, you do not have to put power optimizers or microinverters because there's no need for rapid shutdown on the ground mounted system, right? For example, in this house, we have I would say probably 60% of the panels are on the roof, and all those panels have power optimizers for one, rapid shutdown, two, for testing the optimization feature. Now on the ground mount, we do not have any power optimizers, right? And I will also show you in the garage, we have total of three inverters. Two are for the rooftop, and one is straight for this, I think it's a 10 kilowatt system. And one is just for this ground mounted system, so we can see the output of those panels on one singular inverter. Now, the reason why you don't need power optimizers is clearly because there's no need for optimization on such a ground mount system, right? There's no shading here that would obstruct a production, and all those panels have bypass diodes. So if there is a little bit of shading, or if one panel is more dirty than the other, then you have those to help with the production on the string. And it would actually it would be pointless, in my opinion, to put microinverters on a ground mount, because you see, from going from one possible point of failure and one main string inverter for all these panels, you're going to having multiple tiny little points of failure. Sure, you're limiting the one point of failure, but why spend that much more money and put a little computer under each of the panels if you can just have one, right? Another really good point is that it's really easy to clean those panels, right? So 3 years ago in 2021, we had a really, really big winter storm, and we have SPS here with Sunny Boy, a string inverter, right? So we had access to power from the panels directly during the day when the sun was shining. The problem was that a lot of the panels were covered in snow. So we were able to actually blow with the leaf blower a lot of that snow away from the panels to increase the possible output of those panels while we were using the secure power supply. So for those people that have land and they can put their panels on a ground mount system, one, you're getting better production out of your panels. Two, they're very easy accessible for cleaning or for servicing, right? If something is wrong, you literally have it right here. There's no need to get up on the roof. All the wiring is right here on the ground level. So you would think, because we have obviously a lot of panels facing south on the ground mount, and we do have a lot of panels facing south on the roof, There is one major benefit to having them on the ground as well, and that is really good ventilation. So you know solar panels and electricity likes low temperatures, right? And the cooler the panel is, the better its output's gonna be, the higher its output's gonna be. So these panels get that benefit of having that extra airflow ventilating and cooling the panel off. So as you can see here, we are in an HOA, which usually causes a little bit of trouble when it comes to putting panels on the front of the house. Now, the ground mount was a little bit of a hassle to figure out with the HOA, but what they agreed on is to put a ground mounted system that is lower than the fence line. So we needed to tweak a little bit our design and make it a little bit less of an angle. I think we ended up with like a 12 degree angle here to make it to where it's below 5 feet of the fence line. And I will tell you that because we have an 1 acre lot, this is a perfect way to use your space, not worry about putting panels on your roof, because a lot of people in this neighborhood, the front is facing the south, so they would ultimately have to put all the panels in the front of the house. One, not everybody wants to do that. Two, HOA does not like that idea, so having a ground mount option is absolutely phenomenal. And you can always put small bushes surrounding it, obviously not in the front, you don't want to shade it, but in the back to make it to where people can't really see it. But I will be honest with you, as you drive through the neighborhood, you really cannot see it. So I think it's a phenomenal idea for people that have a lot of land, not to even worry about putting panels on the roof. Just use your ground. You are gonna spend a little bit more money by doing it on the ground, but you might spend less money because your system doesn't have to be as big, right? Because you can direct all those panels towards perfect south at a 15 to 20 degree angle, and you're gonna get really, really good results from your production compared to putting panels on east and west of your roof if that's your only option. So the benefit of having panels on south, east, and west is depending on the feed-in tariff or the net metering policy that you have where you live. You might get some power production during the morning or in the evening, and you can use that power directly. That's when you use your panel directly from the produced panels, that's when you get the biggest benefit when it comes to your money. So you don't have to sell it to the grid or to the utility company for a credit for a portion of what you would buy it from them. So a lot of the times customers that I work here in Dallas area, if you are in Dallas area, you can give us a call to get a quote for a ground mount, rooftop, whatever battery system. But where I'm going with this is a lot of our customers that are getting ground mounts, they're asking for us to raise the ground mounts a little bit so that they can easily mow under the ground mount. But what I want to show you is that because those panels are blocking or eating all the sunlight, there is actually not a whole lot of grass growing underneath the panels. So raising the ground mount, making it slightly more expensive just because you get more metal, more material, is actually not really beneficial. And we'll show you some footage of what it looks like underneath so you can see. It's really easy to mow around it, mow underneath it with just a weed eater. And I will tell you that some customers actually like to put a little bit of gravel underneath to make it look even prettier. So we'll include some photos of that as well. And another thing, which I know there's a whole lot more benefits to having panels on the ground mount, is the possibility of the use of bifacial panels. So as you know, bifacial panels have glass in the front and in the back of it. So ideally, you're getting sunlight hitting the front of the panel, but you also are able to get a little bit of the reflection of the sun rays that are hitting the ground and then are reflected towards the panel from the back side. So you are getting higher yield. So if you are going for the ground mounted system, I highly recommend using bifacial panels if that is an option with your installer. I will say that I've installed bifacial panels on a roof once, and the installers really don't like them because they're extremely heavy. They have glass on the front and in the back, so I would not recommend putting them on the roof, but on the ground mount, phenomenal idea. They're also a perfect idea for carports or pergolas. You can see a pergola right there behind. And again, putting bifacial panels would be a great idea for those structures as well. with a ground mount system, depending on the distance or how far the ground mount can be from your electrical service and the house, you're gonna have to make a decision whether to run DC or AC in the ground from the ground mount. But with a lot of systems, if you are far, you can always run AC and you can put your string inverters on the structure itself, or you can run DC depending on the system size, the length, etc., and put your inverters inside the garage. It's so funny because we've installed probably a lot of the systems in this neighborhood, and we're the only ones that did not go with black on black panels. We've installed panels that made the most financial sense. So back in 2018, 2019, black on black were an option. They weren't the only panels that people install. I see that in residential installation companies, most of them always will go with black on black now. Well, we went with super affordable Q-cell panels that were, I believe, $425. We'll correct it here if it's not. They're the more commercial silver frame type of panel. They work just as well. They used to be much more popular, but then black on black just took over the market when it comes to residential installation. So I think it's finally time to create an update video and to finally answer the question, does installing solar panels make financial sense? And what really have we gained from putting 70 plus panels on our home here in Lucas, Texas? So right here you can see 3 individual inverters, starting with the green one. This is our west facing panels on the roof. The yellow one is going to be our south facing on the roof, and the purple one being our south facing ground mounted system. Now, the second option for monitoring that we have for our roof mounted panels is Tigo, and here you can see the south facing roof, the 24 of them. You can see how throughout the day they are producing. Obviously the south is producing better, and coming to around 2 p.m. is when they start to even out, or around that noon time. And you can see that the west, the 18 panels on the west, are starting to produce a little bit better in the evening. And that was also shown on the previous NXOS SMA portal as well. And we wanted to show you how we calculated 4 years of production at 3 different rates per kilowatt hour, depending on where you are. So you can kind of use this to your advantage. We did 17 cents, 19 cents, and 25 cents. We also had SolarSense installed, and this is what we're gonna use to look at individual years. So in 2020, we installed the system in the summer. So we don't have full data, but we generated a value of $2,918. In 2021, it was a full year, and you can see it was $6,368. In 2022, it was actually better than the year before at $6,720. 2023, $6,437, and finally this year, 2024, $2,008 so far this year. And at the rate of 17 cents, you can here see that we generated a value of $24,451. Now, with 19 cents per kilowatt hour in 2020, we generated $3,261. In 2021, we generated $7,117. 2022, $7,510. 2023, $7,194. And this year so far, $2,244. So now, based on the rate as 19 cents per kilowatt hour, we generated a total value of $27,326. And now, based on the rate being 25 cents in 2020, we generated $4,291. In 2021, we did $9,365. 2022, $9,882. 2023, last year, $9,466. And this year so far, we did $2,952. So to sum it all up, we generated so far a value of $35,956. So we're going to look at the return on investment. So our cash price for the system when we bought it in 2020 was about $60,000. That comes to about $2.20. So after the 30% tax credit, the total system cost comes out to about $42,000. Now, if we divide the $42,000 by the average production with the lowest rate, right? So the 17 cents, we're gonna use $6,500 worth of annual production value per year. It comes out to our return on investment being around 6.5 years. We are already in year 4, so just 2 more years and the system will be 100% paid for itself. Let's look at a total production in kilowatt hours, and you can see 2020 not a full year, 2024 not a full year. We generated a total of almost 150,000 kilowatt hours so far with this system. Now let's focus on the 3 full year, right? So full production year, and you can see that here we can see the degradation wasn't really happening here, right? So 2021 we have 37,400, then 39,500 the following year, and then it went down to 37,800, which obviously we have to account for weather here. But if we look at the degradation, I do think that manufacturers are being a little bit more conservative and protective of their business when it comes to those warranty papers. Our total 3-year solar production was 114,852 kilowatt hours. Now, if we divide that by 3 years, we outputted 30,284 kilowatt hours on average per year. Now, if we divide that by the system size, so by 27.2 kilowatts, we get our average output per kilowatt peak. So 1 kilowatt of our system generated an average of 1,407 kilowatt hours per year. 1,407 kilowatt hours per kilowatt peak per year is really, really good. Now, keep in mind, not all of our panels are facing south. We have that 7 kilowatts facing west as well. So I think if all of our panels were facing south, I think we could expect a little bit closer to 1,500 kilowatt hours per kilowatt peak per year worth of production. But that gives you an idea. If somebody's telling you or promising you even more, then I don't think it's really realistic, because look, this is 4 years of true data with Q-cell panels on our roof in Lucas, Texas. Now, I do want to say that if you are in an area with higher rates, your return on investment is going to be even quicker. So for us, it might be closer to 6 to 7 years. But on my previous video on net metering and buyback policies, a lot of you mentioned paying upwards of 30 cents for every kilowatt hour. That would mean your return on investment is going to be even quicker. And lastly, if you did like this video, make sure to leave a big like and do subscribe to the channel. Also, if you are in the DFW area, reach out to me for a free consultation or a free quote. I also do consultation all over the countries. I just don't install all over the countries. So you can reach out to me as well. All that information is below. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.